Good evening, friends, and welcome to Fun File Friday. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and I'm so happy you're here joining me tonight, either on the live, the replay, or of course on my Facebook channel. So just making sure everything is all set here before we begin. Looks like everything's good. So, let's talk about what we're going to do tonight. It has been incredibly warm this week. We had a really cold day yesterday, so I'm definitely still in spring mode. Thinking spring is going to be here, but I know we will probably have a colossal snowstorm during the month of March, just the way luck happens in New England. It would be strange, for us to not have some funky weather in March and April, but it is nice to see the grass and the sun this week and the warmth. So, like I said, I'm thinking spring. So I am going to be using tonight the Painted Lavender and Perennial postage bundles. It comes from the Perennial Lavender suite. So we are going to be using some of the items from the suite, including the designer series paper. We're going to be doing a little stamping with the lavender plants and some stamping with the greetings. And I'm also using the dies from the Everyday Details bundle. Just really some cool dies. In particular, I'm using these circle dies. It also comes with some rectangular dies. I didn't want to use, I guess I wanted something circle on this instead of using the rectangular and square dies from the Perennial postage bundle. So that's where my thinking came from. So let me just set those aside and let me show you the card that we're making tonight. It's called a squash card. And so I've tied it closed with a ribbon, and when I open it up, I'm going to be using a different ribbon tonight. I'll explain why. There's the front, and when we open it up, you've got to watch how it comes apart. Isn't that cool? A little stamping on the inside. It is made with designer series paper. It's quite thick and sturdy with the designer series paper because of all the different layers. But let me just show you that again. Very cool on the inside. All right, so let's get started. Let's talk about what you need for materials. You are going to need a piece of cardstock that measures 3.25. This is the 3-inch piece, 3 by 3. That I am going to be die cutting. I already did, as you can see, with those two dies, with that one die, that does the outer edge and the inner circle with all those dots. And I'm going to be using both pieces on the front of the card. You're going to need some scraps of purple Gorgeous Grape. And I used 2 of the dies from the Painted Lavender set bundle to cut out these floral images. Then you are going to need 2 pieces of basic white cardstock that measures 3.25 by 3.25 inches. And then I used 3 different patterns of designer series paper. So for this piece, you need an 8.5 by 8.5 inch piece of paper. I chose this one. I love this design. I love all of this, the paper in this, but it has a solid image on the back. Now you saw in my sample, I used a different piece, and it had purple on the inside. So that's going to be the difference between tonight's card and my sample. Then you're going to need some coordinating pieces. So I have here 4 3.25 by 3.25 squares, and I have a 5th one with a different pattern because we need something to go on the back to hide that ribbon. So let's get started. We're going to do the fold first. We'll do our stamping afterwards. So we do have to do some scoring. Now, please remember that I'm going to have all of these measurements and score marks in the comments after the video's over. So you don't need to be writing anything down. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to score this in half on both sides. So I'm going to go to 4 1/4, and I am going to score. I'm going to turn it on its side, and I'm going to score. You want to be careful when you're scoring designer series paper that you're not pressing down as hard as you would with oh, I don't see one of them. Oh, I didn't press down hard enough. You don't want to press down as hard as you would with cardstock, because it will cut right through, even though it's just a scoring blade. Okay, much better, though I still am not, I can barely see it. I guess I'm using too light of a hand tonight. And then we need to make one more score mark, and it doesn't matter which diagonal you use, but we're only going to do it once. We're going to score on the diagonal. So I'm just going to get those points right into the edge here, to the trimming blade track. And there we go. So we have all of our scoring marks done on this. So what I'm going to do is fold on all of those scores to start with. And I'm going to use my bone folder. Let me just put forgot to put down my piece of vellum to keep that glare off of your screen. Sorry about that. And I'm just going to burnish it really well. I'm going to open it up to the other side. Do the same thing. Give it a really nice burnish. And then I'm going to open it up, and I am going to fold it along that diagonal. And again, give it a really nice burnish. Now we're ready to fold this for the front of our card. So what I want to do is I want to fold it so my front is going to be in the right direction. When I open this up, it's going to, let me just fold it this way to give it a little bit more ease. So when I fold it, I want these two pieces, there we go, to fold in. Let me show you that again. I'm just going to give it a really nice score mark again. So when I open it, so when I'm closing, these two pieces are going to fold in. I can again go in with my bone folder. And then we've got a closed card that will open this way each time. Pretty cool, huh? I think so. I liked this card. Very easy to make. And now all we have to do is the decorating. So I'm going to start on the inside and put some of these pieces in. So I'm just going to use the stamping seal to add some adhesive. And these two pieces are going to go in the sections that are not scored. But I want them to be even. There we go. There's one. And here's the second. Now I'm going to take my trimmer, and I need to cut these at the diagonal. So I just have to make sure I'm cutting in the right direction to get those pieces on. So let's go corner to corner again. But this time I'm using my cutting blade. So there we go. There's the first one. And those pieces will go like that. And then for the second one, I am going to cut it the same way. Get those points right in the center of the cutting track, as close as I can. If you're a little off, it is okay. It will still fit. Now we can get the cutter out of the way. And those will go like that. So let's add those pieces. One of the things I like about this card is how it really highlights the designer series paper you're using. So it's a fun card, and you get to see lots of different patterns from your designer series paper. You can have a lot of creativity with this. So I am going very close to that score line to make my square. I want it to be able to fold easily, but I also want it to be even with the other pieces. So we'll get this one right in. So I've been on vacation all week and just had such a relaxing, I had really no plans. So here we go. So this is going to close right up like we wanted it to. Now the next step I want to do, because you can see it kind of takes a little bit of time to settle down. So I'm going to put some ribbon on both sides of this. And I am going to use the silver and white organza ribbon. The iridescent ribbon that I used before was from another mini catalog, and it's not continuing, so I'm going to use current current product with you. So what I'm going to do on both of these sides, I am going to put a little bit of adhesive right here, and I am going to attach the ribbon. And then on the back side, I'm going to do the same thing. Put that adhesive down and grab my other piece of ribbon and adhere it. All right, there we go. So we've got our ribbon now that we can tie when we're done. So now on the back, now I'm going to attach my other piece of designer series paper because I want to cover up that ribbon. I wouldn't necessarily have to put this here if it wasn't for the ribbon, but I do like adding this pattern because this isn't going up and down because of the way of the fold. I like having a piece back here that does. All right, so next, let's do some stamping. All right, so I'm going to start, I'm using Gorgeous Grape ink, and I'm going to start by stamping the floral image for this one inside piece. And I'm going to stamp that off to the side and coming inward on the design like that. And then on this one, I'm going to stamp the inside greeting, "You mean the world to me." And I am going to take, I'm sure I have something close by. I'm just going to take a piece of cardstock. I want to make sure this is straight before I stamp it. It's perfect. But I hate having a crooked sentiment. So I've got the sentiment there, and then I'm going to add the butterflies on this side. All right, so those two pieces are done. Very simple stamping on this. And then I'm going to take my greeting, sending love and best wishes. And again, I'm going to stamp it to make sure it's perfect. When I mount my stamps onto my block, I look at the words to make sure they are lined up as best as I can tell. And that is really helpful to me. Add 2 butterflies, and then we're going to add a third. And I'm going to have to clean my stamp pad. Clean, not my stamp pad, my stamp. So I like using the black cleaning pad. I feel it really gets into my stamps, and that's just a personal preference. Some people really like the purple chamois type mat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just carefully ink up one of these butterflies so I can add a third one, because I like the idea of having 3 butterflies on this. Okay. We are ready to put all of this together. Let me just get all of this out of the way. Let's start with the inside first. So I'm going to start by putting one panel right up here at the top. Because I have this lighter color paper, I don't need to have white on every single one, because you could write on this if you wanted to, or you could write on the white, or you could add a little letter on the inside. So this is what where the 2 panels are going, the 2 stamped panels. And next I am going to add in some of this purple. So I'm going to put one piece right here. So this is the gorgeous Grape. And let's see, I don't think I took my smaller pair of scissors out, my paper snips. So I just want to see where it's going to meet the fold. And I'm going to just take a little bit of our white glue, the mono, and just put some little drops along. It's not going to need a lot of glue. And I'm going to place that right along here. Hold it down for a minute. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing up here. And put it on this side. And again, I'm going to cut this at the end of the paper. So these 2 flowers, solid flowers, actually die cut on the same die. So you get 2 for the price of 1 when you're running it through the machine, the die cut machine. I've got some really fun folds that I'm going to be sharing with you during the month of March. So during the month of March, I have some really fun folds that I want to be able to share with you. So I hope you join me each Friday night. Okay, so this is the inside of the card. Just give you a little look again at that. So we're going to fold it up, and now we're ready to do the front of the card. So I am going to actually use some liquid glue on this so I can get all around the edges and be able to put this down. I just want to have a little bit on those, on the small borders. Okay, there we go. And this is just going to be centered on the card. Now folded, this card measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So it does fit our standard envelope nicely. This I am going to use dimensionals to pop up. So let me just put a few of those on. You can see that this is quite an easy fun fold to do, especially if you use a bone folder to really burnish those edges. So let me just get these off, and we'll line this up on the front. Okay, this will cover the ribbon that's underneath, so you get this little bit of lift. Let me show you this so you can see it. Get that little bit of lift. And now I want to put on a couple of the rest of the greenery that I cut in purple in the gorgeous grape. I love how our cardstock just coordinates with everything. So this first one's going to go down flat. I'm going to put it a little bit under the label. So it's just going to go down like it's sticking out. So there's the first one. You can see that. And now for the second one, I cut 3 just in case I mess up. The second one, I am going to attach it to the top layer. So I'm not going to put the glue on very high. And I'm just putting a little bit. There we go. I'm going to line up the ends and just hold this down for a second. And there we have it. So we'll tie it up in just a minute. Let's just look at, here's the front of our card. So pretty. And then when we open it, it opens up like this. Now the one thing I do want to point out, if you notice with the ribbon, is at 2 different sides of the card. So that's why the ribbon doesn't go all the way across the card and why I had to tie it at the sides. So I am going to bring this to the front. I used 8 inches. I want to have enough to be able to tie my bow and even, trim some off if I need to. But I never try to scrimp with ribbon. I find if I am scrimping with the ribbon, then I struggle with the ribbon. So if I'm just tying a bow, I always tie it right on the bow, and that prevents me from wasting ribbon. But this gives me enough to tie a really nice bow and be able to size it to the size that I want. And so this one's a little floppier than the other ribbon. The other ribbon is thicker, and so I'm just gonna play with it to get the ribbon the way I want it. And there we go. I'm not gonna trim it this time because I'm gonna have to open it and tie another ribbon, but I'll trim it before. So this is this week's fun fold. It's called a squash card, and it opens like this. So there you have it, this week's fun fold. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I will be back for a brand new month of Simply Stamping Sunday on Sunday night at 7 p.m. And this month we are going to be having a blast using the Planted Paradise. And a surprise set to go with it. That's going to be, because the Planet Paradise does not have any sentiments in it. So I will be sharing with you the set that we will be using on Sunday to go along with it. And that is it for tonight. So I hope you join me on next Friday for another Fun-Filled Friday. And I just want to put a shout out. I am at 890 subscribers on YouTube. And when I get to 1,000, I can have unrestricted lives. And so that's what I'm going for. So if you haven't liked my YouTube or subscribed to my YouTube channel, once I get to those 1,000 subscribers, I can do lives on YouTube as well. So thanks for helping me out. And don't forget to like my Facebook page either. Have a great week, everybody. See you next Friday. Good night.